Hey everybody, welcome to Landscape Rescue. My name's Stuart Moore, and today...
random clips of dialogue.
Don't mind if I do.
We're gonna do a shopping video at Lowe's, the busiest Lowe's.
It's crazy out there.
That I've ever been to. It's one of the Lowe's here in Springfield. So this Lowe's here is in the top 3% of the nation in revenue and sales. This place is super busy. Why are we here? Well, because I'm a masochist. I had an entire day at work. It's the weekend before Mother's Day. I don't work next weekend, so I wanted to make sure that I got my nursery in tip-top shape. So I worked until 4 today, and it's gonna be a frantic day of editing, I'm sure. So anyway, let's take a look. Just look at the parking lot.
It's too crazy out there on them streets.
There's literally traffic jams happening trying to get into this place. We're gonna try to shoot, no promises. Might end up throwing this footage away. Let's take a look and see what we got. One of the things about having a YouTube channel that's growing as fast as this one's growing is the amount of haterade plant people drink.
The haters gonna hate.
I'm discovering there's a lot of haterade.
Haterade now with e-tro lights.
Being drunk right before certain people leave comment. I don't care what you're drinking. That's a good looking hydrangea. And for $30, I feel like that might be worth it. Beautiful. Wow. So it's clearly a macrophylla, European hydrangeas, I like to call them. So remember, morning sun, shielded from the hot afternoon. You feed it, take really good care of it. This thing will pay you back tenfold. Eastern Snowball Viburnum, $24. So remember we were looking at a 1 gallon for $20. This is a much better deal. Remember, a lot of times when you're buying potted plants, you're paying for roots. A lot of times the growers will trim to make room for the plants, right? So the bigger they let the top mass get, the further away they have to get them and the more money they're spending per square foot, right? Because the less plants they can fit per square foot. So keep that in mind. You're paying for roots.
I need to get in touch with my roots.
So a 1 gallon at $20 is not as great of a deal as a 2 gallon for $24. Okay. Jeez Louise, look at this guy. This is a Carl Rosenfield Peony. $48.98.
You'll eventually pass out.
Might as well be $50. Here's my issue with the standard peony. They fall over. They fall over. It's a thing that happens, and you just have to either have so much passion for the peony and collecting all the different varieties that are out there to spend the time to stake them. There's a type of stake, and I don't know what it is, but basically the peony grows through a mesh, right? And you got to get them on early enough in the season, and it will hold the stems up. So what I'm noticing at my nursery is when those blooms start swelling large enough that they can start catching water, they're gonna fall right over. P. Allen Smith has a video on his YouTube channel where he's talking about how to harvest the peony so you can bring it inside for a cut flower. Basically what he's saying is when the bud is still tight and has kind of the same feel as a marshmallow, that's when you wanna cut it, cut a long stem and be able to put it in some water. And he's got an additive that he likes to put in there.
Toxic masculinity.
Liquid Schwartz!
A liquid material from inside the meteor.
It's some sort of additive that he puts in. But anyway, long story short, you can combine it with other flowers that are blooming right now and create a really interesting centerpiece. Look that video up. It's helped me a lot because you can trim the peony before it falls over and enjoy them in the house. So it makes just a fantastic cut flower if that's your intent. If your intent is to leave them in the landscape and enjoy them in the landscape, spring for the Ito. They're very expensive, but they stand up, they have stiffer stems. So I-T-O-H, Ito, go to Monrovia.com, look at the Ito peonies. I think you'll be pretty impressed with how well they stand up, but man, they're pricey. And I've never seen one in a 3-gallon on the Monrovia website. I've only seen them in 5s, which means, geez Louise.
I'm 45 years old and I'm broke.
Here's some Sunny Border knockouts, or Sunny Knockout. I think they used to be called Sunny Border, or maybe that's just a dumb hillbilly in me and I'm just inventing words.
You're half hillbilly.
I've been known to do that for Cynthia. Sunny Knockout is, treat it like any other knockout. It's not a double bloomer, it's a single bloomer. And my experience is the single blooming knockouts grow bigger. Okay, and so what I do to mitigate that, not to mention to fight the Rosetta virus, is I trim my knockouts down to 8 inches every single year. So every single year, usually in the fall, I cut them down to about 8 inches, and then I spray it with dormant oil and dispose of the trimmings, because the mite that spreads that virus lives on the tips of roses. And once you get that virus, you're done. You're not growing roses anymore, or if you are, it's going to be on a very short time span, because those mites lay eggs, stay in the soil. So trim them back to 8 inches, spray dormant oil in the fall or in the winter to smother those eggs. You will be very happy with your knockouts. This is a very pretty knockout. It's yellow when it's in a tight bud, and then it kind of opens up to a very pretty, almost canary yellow, and then when it's fully open and those petals start to mature, it turns white. So very dynamic. It's a fun knockout rose to use in a landscape, but my personal experience, my opinion, and again, opinion,
your arrogance offends me.
Don't drink the haterade, is I like them when I like them better when I cut them back at 8 inches and then just let them reflush for the full year, okay? And I make sure I feed them beneficial fungus, beneficial bacteria when I first plant them. Let's get them linked into the mycelial network as soon as possible, and then 2-year fertilizer tablets or a 14-14-14 about every 3 months, something slow release. And then you can trim them as much as you want throughout the year to inspire them, inspire them to push more buds, because that's what knockout roses do best, is push new growth and push buds. The new growth is also red, so that adds a little bit more dynamics. You see what I'm talking about? As soon as these things open up, boop, I'd spring for the Ito. Check out the color on this guy. Look at that. That is gorgeous. And this looks like it's in a Super 1 or a 2-gallon pot. It's in a generic pot. It's not PW or Monrovia. $17. This is called Magma Coral Bell. Magma, like the lava. But man, that's good looking. I like that. Coral bells are great for brightening up shadier parts of the yard, especially if you can get some morning sun shielded from the hot afternoon. Man, these do really well. But mulch them heavy. It's kind of my tip. If you watched last week's video, I talk a little bit about mulching them heavy. So yeah, that's a good. I think $17 is a little much though. A lot of these videos are just, let's not impulse buy stuff just because it's pretty. Let's look at the tag and let's find out, if that's a good deal or not. They will impress you year after year after year, and they're pretty stinking tough. Coral bells are pretty tough. Night Salvia in a large 2-gallon pot. So this is that pot that we saw those daylilies in, some of the coral bells in. This must all have came from the same grower. $17 seems like a lot for a Night Salvia. Is it just me? Or $17 seem like a lot? I don't care what size pot it's in, because you and I both know that we can plant a Night Salvia in a 4-inch pot and it's going to be that size in 2 weeks. Here's another one from a different grower, right? So different pricing. They're basing their pricing based on what they buy it for $10, which again, not a stellar deal, because if we wait a month, we'll be able to get these for probably $1 or $2 a piece. But anyway, $9.98. Compare it to this one over here. and it's about the same size. I mean, I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Check these little guys out. It's called Munchkin Fire. They're $5.50 or $5.48, and they're just like this little tiny, adorable hosta called Munchkin Fire. One of these is coming home with me. You better believe it. I'm getting one of these. I don't care if that's a good deal or not. I want this little guy. Isn't this the craziest autumn blaze maple that you've ever seen? It looks almost identical to a snow fountain weeping cherry. This tree is very confused. It's tagged as an autumn blaze maple, but it's also tagged as a weeping snow fountain cherry. I guess now in today's day and age, that's okay. You can be a snow fountain weeping cherry and identify as a autumn blaze maple. It's okay, I'll allow it. So I'm over here by the Dianthus and I see this very unique double blooming Dianthus called Hello Yellow. Isn't that cool? How often do we get to see this creamy yellow color in a Dianthus? Very cool. It's Monrovia Hello Yellow, and it's $14.98, which for something rare like this I would probably go for it. I would probably bite. If I was like Elon, if I had that Elon Musk money, I would definitely buy about 10 of these for real. Okay, I didn't know if I was going to talk about this or not because us landscapers have to keep some secrets, right? This is called Drop and Grow, and it's just a bunch of sedum. I'm having a hard time getting this off here. It's just a bunch of sedum in a flat. See, it's not very thick, right? And you basically just drop it and go. But what I found these are really, really good at is if you're doing a flat rock patio, right? Leave your joints on the thick side, which a lot of times you can't help it. You know, flat rock isn't cut. It's usually, that's just kind of how it is, right? You know, it's 2-3 inches thick. You can add a little soil and put these guys and just kind of pull it apart, right? Because this is a lot. I mean, that's a lot of sedum. Pull it apart and you pop it in those little places, those little islands where you're just going to fill it with polymeric sand anyway, or pea gravel. Why don't you pop some of this in there and add a little bit of character to your flat rock patio. Now it's going to do best in full sun. These are cool. I've also seen them do roofs with this kind of same theory. I mean, obviously they buy it in a lot larger quantities, get a better deal on it. This one is $20.98, and it's the Drop and Go. So you can just literally just pull this out of the flat and set it down. You're gonna end up having a bunch of sedum in a square for a little while until it grows out. Good way to accentuate those joints in a flat rock patio or a like natural stone retaining wall. Kind of cool. So I had a lady come into my nursery today and she says, do you have any rhubarb? Moses got rhubarb. She said that she really liked the looks of rhubarb. That's what she wanted to plant. And I can kind of see what she's talking about now. I'm not a vegetable guy. I don't eat my food's food. I want my food to have food, right? But rhubarb's pretty doggone good looking. Got my little buddy here. This is all I ended up picking up on this Lowe's trip. We did see that yellow Dianthus. That was a really hard thing not to pick up. It is what it is. Without my cart overflowing, I'm always kicking myself. Anyway, it's been a very long day and I am ready to go home and eat some healthy food. Not rhubarb, of course, because that's just for looks. My name's Stuart Moore. Thank you very much for letting me into your home to talk about plants.
Don't always do what I should. I'd be better if I thought I could. I'm a sucker for adrenaline, every villain is